Greetings, Auto Subs, VideoJames, and it is after Christmas now, officially. I'm recording this on the literal day after Christmas, and basically all my stuff's gotten out of the way. I've gone to all my Christmas parties, all my stuff. So today I'm just going to be doing a review on something that I got, which I was really looking forward to, and that is the Bumblebee Triple Evolution set. So if you don't know what this was released before the Masterpiece Bumblebee that just got released a few months back. And this was basically a set where it had 3 versions of Bumblebee from 3 of the different movies. And it is honestly a very cool set and something that's worth a lot more than they just sell it for. Because overall, the original figures came to about 200 and something. And this set was only worth $69, so this was about over $100 cheaper. But we see, we're looking at the package, that I'm going to actually move the Kindle so I can get better shots of this. But we see, looking at the front of the package, we can see the Autobot symbol right on the front of the garage-like box. We can see on the side it says Transformers. On that side it says Transformers Tribute, and then it says up here BB Headquarters with a little Bumblebee painted up there, which I actually really like. And then we see on the side we just got a big Autobot symbol with the deluxe class. On the back we have each figure. And we see we have the 1977 Camaro, the Collector's Classic, the 2016 Camaro, the Power Performance, and the 1967 Camaro, the Stealth Shadow. And it actually gives you the steps that they all need to be transformed in, and that's actually really cool. We see down there it says Bumblebee and a couple warnings on the bottom. And then on the side we actually have Bumblebee's mugshot. I love that. Everyone loves using that picture. That is like the one picture of Bumblebee that everyone uses. And then we see right next to him we got Transformers with the Autobot logo. And then on the bottom, nothing much. Flipped up, we can actually see inside the box. And I like how it looks like a garage on the inside as well. It's got like a little workbench over here, a bunch of safes. It's got a bunch of tools over on this side. I don't know if you can see that. There's a bunch of tools over there. And it also has 3 podiums for each of the Bumblebees. The 1977's over here. The 2016 is right here, and the 1967 is over here. And it actually does have holsters for the weapons as well, all except for the 1967, because its weapon was permanently attached. And then we see we have all of the Bumblebees out of the package. So I actually have opened this and played with each of them a few times to kind of get the hang of transforming them. And I have to say, these 2 Bumblebees are my new favorites. These are actually my new 2 favorite Bumblebees. Just because they are absolutely amazing, they're extremely detailed, and the transformations, while they can sometimes be a little picky, are extremely interesting. So we see with 1977, we got the arm blasters as always. We see that it's got the same kind of colors. They did change the molding a little bit, I think, because now you used to be able to put these under bottom, under here, and flip them back in there like tailpipes. But with this model, whenever you try and do that, the doors kind of pop open, and they don't really want to tab shut, or the top of the car will try and pop open. The top actually does have a little bit of non-tabbage going on up there, but it's kind of weird. We have the silver-blue painted windows, which actually look kind of nice. I kind of wish they were translucent, because, I mean, you can always kind of see through a car window. It's not like you kind of can't look in, but back in that time, a lot of them weren't really painted translucent, because translucent paint wasn't used yet. And then we see we got the headlights up there. I really like the look of the grille that they did with this. That the grille actually does look really nice. There is no Chevrolet symbol there anymore. The original mold used to have a Chevrolet symbol where the black thing is. Now there isn't one. But I like the headlights. I kind of wish they painted them blue. I kind of wish they painted the headlights blue, but, you know, that's kind of just a nitpick. I don't really like the silver for the headlights because it kind of makes it seem like they're made out of the same metal as the bumper. But overall, I do really like this one. It does roll very nicely without the weapons. It's a decent size length. You guys will actually get a review on this one. I'll be doing a review on all of the figures individually. But for now, I'm just going to kind of glance over them and kind of just give general details about them. I do really like the racing stripes that they used on this Bumblebee too. How they got that little line around them. That was always really cool to me. And I like the headlights in the back. Or taillights, I guess. I like the taillights, how they're that bright red. And unfortunately, we don't have a license plate there, but that kind of tabs open, so I can understand why they didn't put one there. And then moving on, we have the 1967 Camaro Stealth Class Bumblebee from Age of Extinction. So we see, this one was actually one of my favorite Bumblebees, just because I love the cool black color that they used for this. And I love how Bumblebee kind of switched up his primary colors, so instead of being primarily yellow with black stripes, he went to primarily black with yellow stripes, because we can see on the front of the car, we got that yellow bit right here, and then for the tail fin, we have yellow, but basically everywhere else is black. However, this car does maintain, or this Bumblebee does actually maintain a predominantly yellow color when he transforms. And then we can see on the bottom here, we actually have Bumblebee's head and his arms, and the little missile that comes out of him. Now, this missile isn't really a traditional missile. It's not like a spring joint lock. It's actually just a ball joint lock where you push it in and it kind of locks in. I'll move it closer. But you can see it's kind of just a ball joint lock where it locks in. And it doesn't really fire that well for me. I can never really get it to fire. But it does work out really nice if you can actually get it to work. You don't really need to turn it any specific way to prevent it from interfering with the rolling. That, with the position that it's at, it doesn't really interfere that much with the rolling. In fact, a lot of this figure is kind of tucked away neatly so that it doesn't interfere with the rolling. But you see on the sides, we got the two Autobot logos, and we have the SS painted on the front cab of the car, that we got little SS in the yellow splotches. And we can see that the windows are actually translucent, which I do like. I like that they're translucent, so it seems a bit more realistic. And this one actually does roll really nice. It's got a good feel and weight to it. It actually is a very nice size. Again, I really like the black paint that they used. The black paint that they put on this Bumblebee isn't like too inky, but it's got that kind of cool, almost metallic black on it. And then we see the grille. I really do like the grille of this because it's like a combination of 67 and 77. But it does actually look really nice. And then we see the taillights back here aren't really painted, which I kind of wish they were. But we also see we got that little trunk bumper right here, that little SS thing. And like I said, it does roll really well. It is actually a very nice rolling figure. In fact, all the figures from this set do actually roll really well. I don't really think I've gotten a Bumblebee so far that hasn't rolled well, unless I played with it. But this one is actually my second favorite, only taking the second place because of the 2016 Camaro. And then we see we have the 2016 Camaro Bumblebee. Now, I really like this one. This was actually a figure that was announced before the release of this set, and I could never really manage to find it because Amazon, for some reason, never had any in stock. But I do like how Bumblebee kind of shifted all of his black up to the top of the car. The headlights do look really nice, so they got that kind of cool blue going on. The front of the Camaro does kind of look more animalistic, which I do kind of like, that it looks a little bit more savage. We see on the sides that we actually have those little kind of vent areas, and on the hood, we kind of have the same thing, that on the sides we got those little grooves that kind of show little hood ventilation areas. And on the back, we got that tail fin, and we got the headlights and the black paint on the back, which I actually really do like. But this figure was really detailed. It was really well done. It can't really roll that well on carpet because it's got pieces underneath that kind of stick out. You can see kind of all of Bumblebee there, Hobby. But you can see kind of all of his figure there, and it doesn't really roll that well on carpet because there will be times when the wheels will sink higher than the body, so the body will kind of catch on the carpet. But it does roll exceptionally well still, and it rolls much better on hard surfaces compared to carpet. But the other ones do actually roll really nice as well. And then with this Bumblebee, one of the interesting things that they did, I don't think they did this with any other one other than this before this one was made, but they actually made it to where the cannon for Bumblebee is actually a part of his body if you want it to be. So you can like take off one of his arms, spoilers, and attach the cannon to it. And I like how underneath the car it's all kind of neatly tucked away, that none of it's all really sticking out. It all kind of seems like where it should be. I like how they did that on the bottom of this car as well. That on the bottom of this car, they kind of went for the same kind of look. And then we saw on the 1977 that they did kind of do almost the same thing, but they kind of put the head the other way around. But anyway, I'm going to transform these guys real quick, and I will actually show them to you in their robot modes. So I will see you guys then. And then here are all the Bumblebees completely transformed, with almost all of their weapons attached, except for the 2016 Camaro Bumblebee, because I wanted to show me attaching that weapon myself. But I'm going to go over each of these again in a little bit of individual detail. But overall, I really like the designs. I like how they kind of kept true to the original 1977 when they made this figure, how they kind of kept it all nearly the same. The head joints, though, used to be more tight. They used to kind of keep it secured a little better, and I kind of wish they still did, because now it's super easy for the head to just fall over and move around. But overall, I really do like the designs. The 2016 Camaro Bumblebee actually did step it up a lot with design. They actually did get a lot closer to the Bumblebee in the films than nearly any of the other figures did. That very few of the other Bumblebee figures actually managed to get as close to the film versions as the 2016. But it did get really close, and I'm going to show you guys why in a little bit. But for now, I'm just going to go over each of them in a little bit of individual detail and just show you guys what they actually are. So starting out with 2016 Bumblebee, or did I say 2016? 1977 Bumblebee. I don't know how I got that messed up. But starting out with 1977 Bumblebee, we see it actually stands really tall. The wheels don't peg in like they used to. The wheels actually used to peg into the shoulders, but now they kind of don't. So I'm really starting to guess that they kind of changed some of the joints and the pegs on Bumblebee around on this set. You can actually put the weapons in his arms, but you can also store them in the wheels on his shoulders and actually make them shoulder cannons. But whenever I try and do that, they don't really stay in place, and they kind of tend to just roll off to the side. So I like to just kind of keep them in the hands. Also, the left hand, this hand over here for you guys, the left hand actually doesn't really keep the gun in. You kind of have to have it at an angle to where it's holding up the gun, basically, for it to stay in. But overall, I do really like the figure. It's still got the old huge missiles, which I really didn't like. I really hated those kinds of old missiles. But it's still got the old kind of firing mechanic where it's that little button on the side, and it's got that spring, so it's just, there we go. So it's got that little spring mechanic in it, so it still kind of keeps them locked in, and then it just shoots them out like a spring, which I actually did really like. I loved the spring mechanic when I was a kid, because it kind of felt like I was actually firing something. But I really do like this figure. I like how they painted his eyes blue this time around, because on the original they had him painted gray. The face on this figure is really flat, which I don't really like, and they did kind of remove the Autobot symbol from the head, that they kind of took off the paint for that, but he does have the big Autobot symbol on his little chest piece, so that kind of makes up for it. And then we see from the side, you can't really see much more. You can kind of see his legs a bit more. You can see his big feet, that for some reason they gave this figure really drastically huge feet. And then we see in the back, we get that little CC on the inside, or CE, or whatever it is. We do get a bit of detailing on the doors, that we got like little ball joints and all that, and little kind of storage compartments. And we do see we can still see the back of the hood a little bit, that we can kind of see up in here, a little piece of the hood. And then we see the side again, not really anything else. And then we just see the front again. So I really did like this Bumblebee. This one actually was one of my favorite for a long time, mainly because of the 1977 Camaro, because that is like my dream car to own one day. But I really did like this figure. I liked how they kind of actually made it like a really old but kind of really futuristic robot, and that really made it pop out to me. 67 Bumblebee, we actually see that when he transforms, he gets a predominantly yellow color back. We see that the arm blades on his sides, or armor, actually is yellow. We see that we still got the little hood here, and we got these little flip pieces of the hood. He does have that little spinal area that kind of makes his head pop up, which I kind of don't like. They used it as a storage compartment for the missile, that when he turns into vehicle mode, the missile end kind of goes up into that neck place, and it kind of just stores. But I don't really like how it makes it look like Bumblebee's spine is half ripped out of his body. And then we see up here, we got the translucent windows and the tires. So they actually started to move the tires up to the doors a little more. We see on the bottoms, we got the tires on the outside of the feet, here and here. We got the kind of really skinny ankles, which I never really liked. I don't really I didn't really like how they made Bumblebee's ankles like super skinny, because when you look at him in the movies and in all the comics and all that, they aren't really skinny, they're more thick. But we see he's got the giant arm cannon over here. You can't actually take this off. It's permanently attached to this arm. And I think it's to kind of keep this in place as well, because this one is really loose, this arm piece. But we got the little door wheels up here. You can kind of rejigger them to be like wings if you want them to. You can kind of get them to be at a different angle. But we see when we're looking at the back of this Bumblebee that he does have a tiny bit of back package going on, but it kind of makes up for it by kind of just folding up into his cab and taking care of the skinny area on his inside. And then we see down here we have the legs, and we got the coverage on the back of the ankles, which I actually like, because when you get the transformation guide for this, and you get the instructions for the 1967 Camaro Bumblebee, it mentions nothing about these, and it says you have to leave them up like this. That's the right way to leave them up, but I really don't like that, because it seems like it's still untransformed. It seems like those actually need to go down. So I always just kind of leave them like this, so that they stay down like that. And to me, that actually kind of makes it look more realistic. That I think I remember in the movie, his legs actually folded in like that. Because usually Bumblebee's legs always fold like that. So just doing it like that made it seem more realistic to me. But overall, I really do like this figure. I like the gunmetal paint that they used for his face. It does kind of seem out of character with the rest of his body parts, that the rest of his body parts are all kind of painted black, and that's like the only area with gunmetal. If they had painted the arms and these parts of the legs right here gunmetal, that probably would have made it seem more realistic. But I do like it nonetheless. I like how they gave him blue eyes. I wish they hadn't painted him, because while it's not really that efficient, he does have light piping, and they didn't kind of paint over that. So you can't really use the light piping now since they painted over the eyes. But I don't really think they intended for you to use it anyway, because to get the light piping to work, you kind of have to shine a flashlight into the back of the Transformer. Last Bumblebee, the 2016 Camaro Bumblebee. Now this one is my absolute favorite, just because it seems the closest to any of the Bumblebee versions that are in the movie. So we got the hood of the Camaro right here. It's actually really well detailed still, and it actually turns inward to get that kind of tilted feel, which a lot of the Bumblebees didn't do, that we saw. While 67 did have the tilted chest, 77 kind of just had the flat chest. I know, haha, Bumblebee's flat-chested. But we see that we also have this section in here as midsection. They actually detailed really well. They got all the individual pipes and all that. They didn't detail the license plate as all, which I kind of miss. I like that they used to detail the license plate, kind of give it a little authenticity, but you know. I do really like the silver paint that they used on the arms, that when you look at the arms, it gets that kind of shiny silver. I wish they'd continued that down to the hands, because putting that silver and then the grayish hands there kind of doesn't really look that great. But I do really like the silver that they used nonetheless. I like the yellow on this figure, that the yellow actually does look really nice. It's not like too pastel, it's not too off-brand is probably what I'm trying to say, because we all know Bumblebee's yellow in the movies has kind of a tint of orange in it, but it's still more yellow. And then we see here his legs actually fold up really nicely, and they do kind of compact really well. And then we see his wheels are kind of hidden away in his feet, which I really like, that they finally found a way to actually hide the wheels a little better. And then we see he's got the big, big feet. And we got the doors once again. We got a tiny bit of back package going on back here, that we got this little thing right here that you can't really do anything with, that it's kind of just sitting there, and you can't really flip it up anymore because there's not really any room. But I do still like it a little bit. And then they have back here, we have these little wing-ish thingies, which I really liked. I like that they finally incorporated those as a part of one of the Bumblebees. Because we saw in basically every movie where Bumblebee had the Camaro concept, except for the 1977 and 1967, that he had those tiny little extra wings. And I do like that they found a way to incorporate that with this figure, that they didn't just make those another part of the top of the car or the legs. and they actually made them their own separate part. Well, separate but connected at the same time. Again, we see a little bit of back package going on here with this, but it's not really too much to be concerned about because it kind of gets hidden very well. We've got the back part of the car right here, kind of covering up the back of his ankles, so it doesn't really look like too much is out of place. They didn't really do any, coverage on the outside of the ankles, though, that when you look on the outsides, we kind of just see that gray paint, which I actually like, because in the movies, you can kind of see that the sides of Bumblebee's legs are gray, and then he's got, like, the yellow armor on the front and back. And, again, you can see a lot of stuff on this. We can actually see, well, I don't know if you can, but if you look really closely at the figure, you can kind of see, there it is, you can kind of see a little Chevrolet symbol right in between his two chest plates. And then we see on the helm, we actually have the Autobot symbol. We have the silver paint on the face as well, and we have painted blue eyes. I kind of like how the eyes on this one were really kind of bug-ish. That it looked like they were just tiny little gemstones that they stuck in. But it still does look really nice. They actually did paint the sides of his little face thingies to actually have gray in the middle. And when it comes to the cannon, that actually is really nice, because when we look at the cannon, the yellow is actually off from the rest of the figure a small bit, but it doesn't really matter that much. The gray does actually match up, and when we actually attach this, I'm going to actually show you guys how to attach it now. We see there's a little joint on each of the arms. You can kind of see that there's a little joint on each of the arms. It's kind of like a swivel joint. So what you can do is you can turn the arm to where it's like this, to where the inside of the arm is facing towards the front of Bumblebee, and then you kind of pull it down out of the arm socket, and then you take the cannon and you position it the same way, and you push it in, and it's got the same kind of joint. So you just push that in. It does take a tiny bit of force, but it's not really enough, I think, to break it. So you can kind of just push that in and not really have to worry too much about it getting broken. But then we see Bumblebee actually has his arm cannon attached, which I really like, because I really like that they kind of found a way to actually incorporate the weapon onto the body. Because when you watch Transformers and when you see all the games and all the movies, the arms actually connect to the body. They're a part of the body. They don't just pull the guns out of their bodies. That with Ironhide, his cannons are actually covering his arms, and he just flips them out a little bit so they can actually shoot in the movies. He doesn't really have cannons that he just pulls out of his back until Dark Up Moon. And then we see we have all the Bumblebees articulated in the garage. I really do like this garage. You can actually use it for a lot of different posing. You can use it for storage of them, that if you want to just keep the box and keep your Bumblebees safe in here, then you actually can. I really like the detail that they put on it. And the inside of it just looks really amazing as well, that they put a lot of paint and a lot of detail into the drawing of the inside. I kind of wish you could remove the plastic a tiny bit, but they put that there to kind of keep the cars in place, so I understand why they didn't really make it so where it could get rid of. But I do really like this set. I would definitely recommend that if you are a Bumblebee collector, you get this set, because it actually is very nice. The Bumblebees in it are all very well worth the price. Like I said, it's only $70 on Amazon, as far as I know of, so it is actually a very cheap set compared to what the original value of the figures actually was worth. So I would definitely get it. The figures don't really seem downgraded from their originals, and they actually seem improved a tiny bit. But anyway, I would definitely give this a 5 out of 5. I would not give this thing anything lower. Actually, I would give this a 6 out of 5 if I wanted to, because honestly, this is a very well done set. This is very nicely detailed. It is very nicely crafted. All of the figures have really great detail. There's not really any problems with it, except for the 1977, that one kind of seems to have a little bit of problems with pegging. But other than that, the figures all do seem really nice, and they are all really amazing, and I would definitely recommend that if you do like Transformers, and you do like Bumblebee like me, you should actually go out and get this set, because this is actually well worth the money. So, if you guys do want to use that Christmas money to get this set, go ahead, do it. Go get this. I would definitely give this a 6 out of 5, but it is a really amazing set. I would definitely buy this again if I could. and I would definitely just keep it in the box just to have these so I could have backups or spares or ones that would be worth a lot of money or just memorabilia or whatever. But I will probably never get rid of these unless they break because I absolutely love this set. But anyway, I'm leaving this video here. If you guys liked it, you can slap the like button as always, and there will be a link to the set down in the description. And if you guys did like it, you can slap the like button as always, and I will see all you beautiful people in the next video.